As a child, Ava Starr grew up in Argentina with her parents, Catherine and Ava Starr. She witnessed the consequences of her father's fallout with Hank Pym, who expelled him from S.H.I.E.L.D. and tarnished his reputation in the scientific community. Driven by resentment, Eli has persisted in his quantum energy research, despite the dangers involved. During a failed experiment with the quantum tunnel, Starr attempted to reach her father to be with him in his final moments, but the tunnel collapsed before she could, resulting in her parents' deaths and exposing her to quantum energy. When the fire department arrived, they couldn't touch Starr because she had become intangible due to the accident. Starr was sent to an orphanage, where she later met Bill Foster, a former colleague of her father. He gave her a teddy bear, but she was upset because she couldn't hold it. Foster encouraged her to focus and control her powers, and eventually, she was able to become solid enough to pick it up. He promised to find a cure for her condition and took on the role of a father figure, creating a quantum chamber to temporarily stabilize her and reduce her pain. Seeing the potential of her powers, S.H.I.E.L.D. took Starr in and started training her for spy missions to deal with threats that regular agents couldn't handle. They created the ghost suit for her, which allowed her to switch between being intangible and solid. S.H.I.E.L.D. also promised to help find a cure for her condition. During her time working in the field and enduring the long-term pain caused by her quantum displacement, Starr grew tough and ruthless. She eventually realized that S.H.I.E.L.D. had no plans to actually find a cure for her. After S.H.I.E.L.D. fell apart, Bill Foster took her in again and began helping her search for a cure as her condition worsened. Starr watched as Hank Pym shrank the mobile laboratory and left with Hope Van Dyne and Scott Lang. She suddenly appeared nearby and followed their van to Sonny Birch's restaurant, After Birch tried to betray Van Dyne, Starr waited until Van Dyne, wearing her wasp suit, had beaten Birch's mercenaries and retrieved the final component. Ghost appeared in front of Wasp and fought her for control of the mobile laboratory, causing Wasp to lose her grip on it until Wasp, shrinking down, punched her in the face. Ghost phased through Wasp's attack and disappeared from the fight, waiting for a chance to distract her. She then grabbed Wasp and slammed her onto a table. When Wasp tried to attack Ghost with a service table while holding the lab, Ghost phased through it without being affected. Ghost then punched Wasp in the face, causing her to drop the mobile laboratory. Although Ghost gained the upper hand over Van Dyne, her plans were interrupted when Lang, in the Ant-Man suit, showed up just as Ghost had Wasp pinned against the wall. Ant-Man kicked Ghost to the ground, making her disappear again. After they managed to defeat her, Ghost devised a plan to confront Pym at the place where he was contacting them. While Ant-Man and Wasp were trying to communicate with Pym, Ghost went outside the restaurant, found Pym inside his van, and phased her arm through his throat. She threatened his life, forcing him to surrender the mobile laboratory to her. After getting the lab, Ghost quickly escaped the van before Ant-Man and Wasp could stop her. When she arrived at her hideout, Starr walked into the guest room with the mobile laboratory and the component and set them on a desk. She took off her suit to breathe more easily, then laid it down and slowly walked over to her quantum energy chamber to stabilize herself for a short time. Once inside the chamber, Starr lay down on her bed and tried to relax while her molecules were realigned. While Starr was recovering inside the quantum energy chamber, Hank Pym had successfully tracked down the mobile laboratory using re-engineered tech from an earlier Ant-Man suit and sent Wasp and Ant-Man there to retrieve it. While they were able to enter the building and locate the lab, Starr woke up from her rest and quietly snuck up on them. Starr attacked Wasp from behind, knocking her out with a punch to the head, and then kicked Ant-Man in the face, causing them both to lose consciousness. She then started to restrain them while they sat in chairs for interrogation. When Lang woke up, he tried to wake Van Dyne and Pym, who were next to him. Starr quickly appeared in front of Lang and told him that they couldn't hear him. Starr introduced herself to Lang, who asked if she used the suit to pass through things. She replied that it only helps her control her powers and the pain she experiences. When Lang expressed his fear by asking if she would rip his heart out, Starr laughed and assured him that she would never hurt him unless she had to, mentioning that she was more interested in what was in his head. After touching Lang's face and activating her powers again, Starr chose to wake up the other captives by kicking them. When Wasp threatened Starr, saying to never touch her father, Starr replied that she had been a bit too gentle with him. Once Bill Foster explained who Starr was, Van Dyne wanted to know what was happening. Starr then told Pym that her father, Eli, had worked with him until their disagreement got him fired. Starr also mentioned that her father was discredited after he was fired from his quantum energy research. She explained that he continued his research despite the risks until something went wrong. Starr revealed that his research had killed both him and her mother, Catherine, but she survived the explosion that gave her her powers. She noted that she was adopted by Foster and later taken in by S.H.I.E.L.D. as an assassin. Foster told them that after S.H.I.E.L.D. collapsed, he brought Starr to his home and saw that her condition had worsened. He explained that Starr needed a cure, and she mentioned that she had noticed Pym was building a quantum tunnel. She also knew about the psionic link that Lang shared with Janet Van Dyne, which would allow her to track Janet down in the quantum realm and extract her quantum energy to permanently fix her displacement. After Foster contacted Lang about his daughter, he continued by saying that he would extract Janet's quantum energy, which she had been absorbing for 30 years, and give it to Starr for her survival. Pym refused to help Foster because he was concerned that Janet might die during the extraction. Starr bitterly replied that he would do as she said and walked over with Foster as he took the component. As they were about to leave, Pym pretended to have a heart attack to trick Foster into opening the Altoids tin, which he then grabbed and handed to Pym. Suspecting something was off, Starr realized it was a trap and warned Foster not to open it. The tin then released a swarm of enlarged ants, which allowed Van Dyne and Lang to escape with the lab. Starr was subsequently attacked by Van Dyne with her stingers, watching in pain as the rest of the captives fled the room. With Hank Pym, Wasp, and Ant-Man taking back the mobile laboratory and the component, Starr witnessed Bill Foster checking the quantum energy chamber and told her that it can barely help her temporarily restore her molecules. On that note, Starr asked how long she has, in which Foster theorized that it could be a couple of weeks. Starr demanded that they need to get that lab, using Lang's daughter, another victim, to kidnap in order to give up the lab for themselves. Foster told Starr to not resort to that, noting that he would not participate in that kind of behavior. Starr responded to him that he is not the one who is being tore apart from her condition and told him that he kept his promise to fix her. Foster told Starr he will help her but go on a path of using violence to get it. Knowing that Foster wouldn't help her if she hurt Lang's daughter, Starr declared that she would find another way. To track down the lab, she spied on Sonny Birch and his men, who were heading to ex-con security consultants. Starr then sneaked into the group where Luis had told Birch about Lang's location, using an emotional tactic. Birch interrogated Luis about Lang's exact whereabouts, and Luis told him that Lang was in the woods. Starr appeared in front of Luis, now knowing that Lang was in the woods with the lab. She leaned in closely and asked Luis where in the woods, to which he replied that it was specifically Muir Woods. With this information about the mobile laboratory's location, Starr left the room and phased out of sight. She then went outside the office and intentionally damaged Birch's car to slow him down before quickly heading for the lab. When Hank Pym and Hope Van Dyne were arrested by the FBI in Muir Woods, Ghost followed Agent Stoltz as he loaded the mobile laboratory into a van. She watched Stoltz go to the trunk of his car to put the lab inside, then attacked him, puncturing his heart. After taking the lab, Ghost's actions made the FBI suspicious. Starr arrived inside the laboratory and had Bill Foster operate the quantum energy chamber by using the tunnel to extract the energy from it. After they had begun the extraction process, Starr was told by Foster that it could be dangerous. Starr responded to Foster that she had days to live and that they would be performing the process regardless. Just as Foster began to turn on the tunnel, a group of ants had stopped their machine, causing them to realize Hank Pym's interference. Once Starr looked below the army of ants on the control panel, she told Foster that they couldn't be that far ahead from the lab. Picking up her helmet and walking out of the lab, Ghost found a streak of ants from an abandoned building. Ghost snuck up behind Ant-Man, who had previously freed Pym and Wasp from the San Francisco FBI office, smashing his face on a glass window and kicking him across the wall to the other side of the room. As Ant-Man got up to grow smaller, Ghost walked toward to his direction and told him to call off the ants that were invading their plans. Once Ant-Man realized his suit wasn't working properly, Ghost began to chase down him at a walking pace, passing through walls as he tried to escape her surroundings. While Ant-Man had temporarily lost Ghost and tried to contact his team to hurry up on the plan, she found him hiding near a wall and began to chase him down again. Ghost finally tracked down Ant-Man, passing through a table. Ghost snuck up in front of Ant-Man while he was reporting his team, aggressively kicking toward a wall. Ghost was about to attack Ant-Man, but had noticed the lab had shrunk down into a small size again. Looking at Luis giving the mobile laboratory to the Wasp, Ghost was quickly outraged at her supposed trap. Ant-Man told Ghost that misdirection was the first rule of close-up magic, turning small again in order to leave the area. A three-sided car chase then took place between Wasp and Sonny Burch's men across the streets of San Francisco. Ghost managed to chase down the cars that were following down the streets and used her phasing powers to move across a random woman's car, kicking Burch's men in that face so that she could hijack his motorcycle. During her drive-by with her motorcycle, Starr had managed to track down Ant-Man and Wasp's van and began to drop her motorcycle to sneak up front of the van. Ghost went through the car window and kicked Wasp away from the back of the van, letting her out of the van before she shrunk down. Ghost tied Luis and Ant-Man with their seatbelts and got the mobile laboratory from them, escaping the van to hijack a nearby truck with a wooden plank. Ghost drove the truck with the lab in hand and tried to get over to her rendezvous point. Wasp suddenly tracked down Ghost and began to fight against her for the lab until Ant-Man had to interfere in the conflict. Ghost noticed Ant-Man clinging onto the windshield wiper and began to turn it on in order to lose him. Wasp leaned in for the punch, but Ghost phased out to dodge and then grabbed Wasp on the driver's seat, hoping to strangle her out. Wasp got out of Ghost's grasp, and as they continued to fight, Ant-Man enlarged himself and punched Ghost in the face. Ghost was slightly knocked out from the attack, and in that moment, Wasp took the lab and flew away behind the truck. Ghost took off her helmet and phased through the driver's seat and landed onto the wooden platform on the truck. Before the both of them could fight against each other, Burch and his mercenary had bumped into the truck, letting the lab go onto the hands Burch once again. Ghost flew out of the truck and landed on the ground. While on the ground, Ghost witnessed Burch and his henchmen driving away to another direction and followed them along the way. Eventually, after Ant-Man took the lab from Burch and struggled to breathe, he dropped the lab on the nearby pier. While Luis planned on getting the lab, Ghost kicked away from it and used the remote she stole from him to make it normal size again, entering the building as fast as possible. As Hank Pym was preparing to return to the real world with Janet Van Dyne, Starr began her process of extracting energy to repair her body. Foster followed Starr and warned her that Janet will die if she continues the extraction. Starr ignored Foster's statement, as she thought he cares more about Janet than about her. While Starr reached for the control panel, Foster promised that Janet would be able to help her, leading her to push him away aggressively. Starr told Foster that this is the way and turned on the quantum tunnel in order to power the energy chamber. Starr walked inside the chamber as she began to become whole again, much to her delight. Ant-Man and Wasp walked inside the lab and stopped her from using the tunnel to power the chamber. Starr noticed what they were doing and began to interfere with their plans to stop her. Starr attacked Ant-Man with full force, but her punches could not land on him until he grew small enough that she kicked him across the room. Starr saw Wasp near the control panel and began to attack her, phasing out of her stingers that she was blasting onto her. Starr attacked her with her punches and kicks, but was caught off guard once Ant-Man had teamed up with Wasp. Starr was kicked into the ground, but attacked back once Wasp tried to knock her out and proceeded to kick Ant-Man in the face. Noticing Wasp on the trail of the tunnel, Starr walked over to her and finally tried to kill her, only to be run over by the quantum vehicle, flying across the room. Once Starr was stopped by Lang and Van Dyne and kept at bay until Pym and Janet were able to successfully return from the quantum realm, Starr recovered from the injury. By then, Starr's body was beginning to fall apart completely. However, Janet calmed her down and told her that she felt her pain. Starr expressed to Janet that her condition hurts and always had. Janet apologized for her sickness and told Starr that she can fix it. Janet transferred a portion of quantum energy into her, making Starr feel whole again and letting her touch Janet's hand. Luis then burst inside the lab and warned them that the police were coming. Afterwards, Ghost proceeded to escape the lab with Scott Lang, Bill Foster, Hank Pym, Janet, and Hope with a plan to distract the FBI from their path to not get them all arrested. Once they had succeeded on the plan, Starr and Foster escaped the scene and into an alleyway in order to avoid getting arrested. In the alleyway, with help of Foster on her side, Starr told him to leave her there, but he insists on making it on a different location. Starr justifies by telling him that she heard people like he said, but Foster responded that he wouldn't abandon her. With a bleak smile, Starr hugged Foster with open arms. Starr kept in contact with the Pyms and Lang, as they had begun to process to help her receive quantum energy. However, the team turned into dust, which left Lang trapped in the quantum realm, thus preventing them from providing any further help to her for the next 5 years. By 2023, Ghost's DNA had been acquired by her former S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury, who placed her DNA alongside many other enhanced individuals in a vial known as the Harvest. The Harvest vial was then administered by the Super Skrulls Gravik and Jaya, bestowing both of them with Ghost's powers.